Kevin, a great way to celebrate this holiday, and then we'll also be celebrating plenty more holidays coming up as well, including what's been a big celebration in the past several years through the West Bloomfield Diversity Taskforce as we recognize Juneteenth in just a few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Juneteenth in the WB 2024, the power of our stores. It's a family friendly event, absolutely free, celebrating diversity and community strength. The event is June 22nd, 2024, 2 to 5 p.m. West Bloomfield High School. Join us here on the Splash Live to give us a little bit more details about that event. Member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force, we have Vincent Kirkwood joining us on the Splash. Thank you so much for your time, Vince.
Hey, how's it going? No problem. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we got a lot going on, man. I'm excited to talk about it. So first and foremost, we're in the third year, if I'm not mistaken, of the Juneteenth event. Can you just talk about a little bit of the history and the growth behind this Juneteenth event?
Absolutely. It kind of is changing this year, the Juneteenth event. So the first 2 years, it was ran by the Social Justice Committee, and it was at West Bloomfield High School. Outside, we had a lot of face painters, food, entertainment, production, celebration of culture. And this year, it's changing a little bit. It's going to be held at the West Bloomfield Township Town Hall, the
Okay.
Recreation Activity Center.
Mhm.
And a lot of those things are still going to be happening just at a different location.
Nice, nice. So we're expecting a lot to go on then, right? So since we essentially changed the location, what about the activities and the different things that we are expecting there? Has any of that changed? Has it grown? Just talk about what we're expecting that in that aspect.
Absolutely. So the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force is a combined effort between the West Bloomfield Parks and Rec Commission, the
Mhm.
library, and the township. And what we're doing this year is going to have a celebration of Juneteenth on the campus of the West Bloomfield Township Hall. We're going to
Mhm.
have music. We're going to have dancing. We're going to have an African drum group. We're going to have food. We're going to have face paintings. We're going to have workshops by Stephanie Kreider. We're going to have the library who is going to do a history of Juneteenth with several individuals. They have a performance. I'm sorry, not a performance, but a lecture, if you will, at 11 o'clock and at 1 o'clock, and both speak to the Juneteenth celebration, what it means. The 11 o'clock is more so for the children, and then the 1 o'clock is for the adults. But you're welcome to come to both events.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we appreciate that. Join us right here on the Splash Live, telling us a little bit more about the Juneteenth and WB 2024 event. We have Vincent Kirkwood, member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force. So let me just ask you personally, Vincent, what does Juneteenth mean to you? And why is it important to the West Bloomfield community?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And a lot of people still don't know exactly why we celebrate Juneteenth and what it is. So, Juneteenth is a celebration of African Americans' freedom in America, if you will. So, a little bit of, I'm going to give you a quick history on it. So, in 18, I believe it was 1862 or 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed that freed the slaves in America. However, there were a group of slaves that were still in, I want to say, Texas, that
Mm-hmm.
did not know that they were free.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years later, in 1865, uh, they were they finally found out that they were free. So it was June 19th when it happened,
Mm-hmm.
1865, and that is why we celebrate Juneteenth. It's a
Mm-hmm.
celebration of freedom for African Americans that were enslaved, 155 years ago or whatever it was. So that's why we celebrate Juneteenth, and we celebrate it with culture, we celebrate it with music, we celebrate it with food, we celebrate it with just an excitement of around what we've done as a culture and who we are as a culture, and that's the meaning of Juneteenth,
Right, right,
in my
exactly. And that
opinion.
was no, no, no. And that was January 1st, 1863. Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, by the way, and it was in Galveston, Texas, where they
Yes.
said the last of the slaves were, and they were freed June 19th, 1865. Now that date is very. Oh no, please continue.
No, I was just gonna say, and that's why we're doing it on
Hmm.
we're celebrating our diversity task force in West Bloomfield on June 19th. I think it was really important that we celebrate it on the day of. Now it's a Wednesday. Kids should be out of school,
Right.
and we're hoping that the weather cooperates. But it's going to be a day of celebration, a day of happiness, a day of feeling great. We're gonna have I think it's called the Nanu Di Giapo African drum band. We're gonna have dancing. I also want to mention that 44 Scoops, which is a new ice cream parlor right at the corner of 15 and Orchard Lake, they are
Hmm.
going to provide free ice cream to all of us who are present. Henry Ford Hospital, West Bloomfield, is going to be heavily involved. They're going to help us with food and other things. The diversity task force is involved. The West Bloomfield Parks, West Bloomfield Township, the West Bloomfield School
Nice.
District. I mean, we've got so many great groups of people who want to celebrate Juneteenth on June 19th here in West Bloomfield. And I think it's really important that we do that because our community is so diverse. Our community
Yeah.
is not one group. Our community is a mixture of a lot of different people, and that includes African Americans. So to celebrate in West Bloomfield is a great honor. I'm happy to be a part of it for the last couple years.
And no, absolutely. And I love this too. I love to speak on it too. Juneteenth was one of those days. Coincidentally enough, it's on my birthday, June
Oh
19th. So
wow.
that was one of those days where since I was in elementary school, I always wondered what holiday falls on my day. So when I looked it up, I found out at a very early age what Juneteenth was. But then nobody was really celebrating it. So like it seems like something significant, but people never celebrated it as big as it has been in the last couple of years. So that was one of
Absolutely.
those things where I learned about early and I was wondering why it hasn't been as big, but now it's starting to be recognized a little bit more and things of that nature. And I'm glad we have this event because we just talked about the different cultures in the community and how they all celebrate their history. Juneteenth being one for the people of the Americans of African descent here in the West Bloomfield to also talk about. So thank you again for your time, Vincent. One last thing, please continue to give the details. How can people find out more? The date, the time, the location again, please.
Absolutely. So we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth in the WB on
Okay.
June 19th, starting at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we're going to be at the main library meeting room. You'll hear from Mrs. Gwen. She'll tell us all about Juneteenth. It'll be followed by crafts for young people. And then at
Nice.
1 o'clock, we have the history of Juneteenth, which is going to be brought to us by Professor Emeritus Whit Dykes, who will discuss the story and the legacy of Juneteenth. They'll elaborate on what I talked about briefly, but we're going to be at the West Bloomfield Township Hall near the Rec Center, the Recreation Activity Center. Again, free
Mhm.
food, African drum, dancing, tattoos, face painting. It's going to be a great day of celebration for everybody in our community.
Great time, expecting some great weather too, and hopefully I can get out
Yes.
there, celebrate my birthday, and celebrate with you all too, man. Vincent Kirkwood joining us here on the Splash Live again, member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force, talking about Juneteenth in the WB 2024. Thank you again, sir. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.